Marksmanship hunters are not really my thing. I'm more of a beastmaster and survivalist myself. But I think to kind of give the spec justice, it deserves to have its own full clear of a horrific vision of Stormwind. Let's do this and talk about it. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, Gyro here. A very warm welcome to all the new people who came to the channel over the past few days. We have a very fresh, healthy influx of interest. So guys, I'm saying we because I see us as a little club that's growing. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you very much for joining me. Another video for you today, and they're coming every 2 days in case you're still new and getting used to this cadence. Marksmanship. Marksmanship is age-old spec of hunters. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it even goes further into kind of the history of World of Warcraft and class design than Beast Mastery in its modern implementation, how we see it in the game right now. I am not a marksman simply because marksman is not as reliant on the pet, and I like the idea of a hunter keeping the enemies at bay with a big fat tank who is also their own personal little friend somewhere there in front of them. If you watched my previous videos, I also got a lot of interest with your help, with some of the help of my supporters, who sort of opened my eyes, for the lack of a better word, onto survival. And spoiler alert, in one of the next videos we're gonna revisit survival on the same guy, on the same Toon Zulukin who I'm demonstrating to you now. He's my highest geared and highest ranked up as far as horrific visions are concerned hunter. I have a couple of alts, actually I have 3, but you haven't seen the third one yet, doesn't matter. So I will get back to survival very soon, stay tuned, and we are going to do a horrific vision full clear and as well gonna assess how does the spec feel. Today we're talking about marksmanship. Very tiny, most quick disclaimer you'll ever hear. I'm not an expert in marksmanship and I probably expect more in this particular spec. I expect myself to make more mistakes. I expect to be probably off in a lot of my judgment, but again, these are not supposed to be seem like very precise reviews and numbers. They are more emotional, how does the spec feel type of things. Yep, take it for what it is. So here is another one for you. Why am I saying on the kind of in the intro and kind of on the thumbnail of this video, why am I saying that you could clear horrific visions with marksmanship in marksmanship spec? But why? Because I am successful in this clear and it is going reasonably well, it will go reasonably well, but to me it felt awkward. It felt awkward, which doesn't make the spec bad. It's Eastern European accent for you guys. It doesn't make the spec bad, but I found the reliance on a lot of casts that have cast time, such as aimed shot, such as channeled rapid fire, as kind of staple abilities of marksmanship really. I found reliance on those abilities as marksman very detrimental in horrific visions. Due to the nature of how this content in World of Warcraft works, you already have seen probably plenty of my videos and other videos on this, you get swarmed by enemies. You cannot pull 1 or 2 enemies at a time. You cannot really run these visions like that if you want to be successful, remotely successful. You have to pull huge groups like this. You have to kite them. You have to... Well, I'm not using traps because I think that would only slow me down, pun intended, because traps are supposed to slow enemies down. I'm not proficient. I'm just not proficient to have an extra button that would deal with traps on a regular basis, plain and simple, right? So here you have to kite, you have to always keep at bay. Pet is there and pet is taunting, but somehow pet doesn't take as central position in the runs for a marksmanship as it would do for Beast Mastery. With Beast Mastery, I also reported to you in the previous videos when I was reviewing Beast Mastery a lot more closely. I think with Beast Mastery, we are relying, for example, on Beast Cleave, We have also access to exotic pets, exotic beasts, which maybe is not such a tremendous difference, but they do come with some benefits and with some abilities that other beasts don't have. Basically, look, in marksmanship, yes, I have a tanky, also tanky pet, but it doesn't feel as tanky or as protective as a beast mastery pet would. That's one weak point for marksmanship. Marksmanship has I don't know what that's, forgot the name because I'm also not a marksman. I forgot the name of the shot. Let's call it explosive shot. Huh? That's mapped to my number 7 there on the action bar. Explosive shot works nicely occasionally on a, I think, 30-second cooldown, if I'm not mistaken, that knocks enemies away and allows you to gain a little bit of that distance to start kiting again, to start running around again. Again, look, as far as how much damage the spec is dishing out, it's respectable. It's respectable. We cannot compare that to something like Demonology Warlock that I reviewed recently, where I was disappointed on how much damage it can dish out actually comfortably. The marksmanship is alright. Marksmanship is alright. Especially marksmanship shines for single target fights or few target fights, such as bosses. With bosses or with mini bosses, marksmanship is fine. It's really fine because you throw all these meaty aimed shots at the enemy, at the mini boss. You rely. I love how much damage and just generally how rapid fire feels. I love that channeled on a short cooldown. I love that. I really love that. That's why I have mixed feelings about marksmanship. I do think that, again, like I said, my main key message to you is you could clear horrific visions with it if you're a dedicated marksman for other reason. You like it in PvP, you like it in raiding perhaps, and you couldn't be bothered exploring other specs that in my opinion work better than marksmanship. And another spoiler alert, Beast Mastery, obviously my more kind of boring but close to my heart age-old spec that works really well in horrific visions, Beast Mastery. And now that I also discovered Survival works very well too. Yep, Survival works very, very well too once you have a toon that is geared reasonably well, like this guy. I'm not talking about power check of Survival Hunters like I did on my Horde Hunter. I'm talking about Zulukin, the video that you're gonna see soon enough. I'm not gonna go further into this. But Survival feels alright. Beast Mastery feels great. Marksmanship, this feels okay. You can make it work. Yes, you can. But if your goal is to capitalize on this content, have a lot of fun doing it, push masks perhaps, I would not recommend Marksman spec for you. I simply would not. Like I said, once again, it's not the worst spec by far in terms of which ones are capable of solo clearing horrific visions and offering you some satisfaction from using nice, good, meaty abilities and stuff. But it certainly wouldn't be high on my recommendation list. It would not be high on the recommendation list. If I had to rely on the scale that turns out that some of you still enjoy, and I'm really, really grateful that you let me know about the fact that some of this visualization that I'm offering you actually works well for you, I would say Marksman sits somewhere above average for me. Above average. Look, credit where credit is due. Rapid fire is fantastic. Amount of damage that Marksman does on the individual single targets like bosses, mini bosses, particular focus target like some of those guys, some of those mobs that stun you, like you want to take them out as quickly as possible. Some talents synergize very well, so like I took a talent that throws volley, throws arrows from the sky, sometimes it's great. Some elements of how Marksman plays are actually giving you quite a lot of satisfaction in that moment. You're like, I knocked them away, they're all dazed and stunned, here I go. It's cool, it's cool. But Beast Mastery is significantly better at this. Beast Mastery relies on a pet that cleaves, that damages everyone, holds aggro much better, is tougher by itself. The spec Beast Mastery is more reliant on instant casts, on kill commands, on instant casts, as opposed to on casts that have time or channel time. Survival, different cup of tea altogether. You are close and personal, you know exactly what's going on, you know exactly who you're hitting. Any of your corruptions have also a higher chance of hitting the right targets. When you're closer to the target, yes, you're more in danger of being cleaved and whatever, but at the same time, you get higher chance that your Twilight Devastation is gonna hit someone in front of you, or even if you turned a little bit. But if you turned a little bit and you're also away from the target, then Twilight Devastation will go that way and the target is standing there. You know what I'm saying? It can be very frustrating. So these kind of things, they may not cross your mind if you are not running these visions as often as I do, and are not very precisely, but if you're not comparing them one-to-one, these classes and these specs, this might not come across very clearly. But for those of you who are casuals like me, they're still looking just to have fun before Shadowlands hit us, with their release. Maybe it's helpful. I'm very hopeful that it's helpful for you. Maybe it gives you a bit of an idea of, hey, a new alt, or maybe a respec, so that your current class feels like it has been renewed for you a little bit, and you can enjoy it. That's what I'm doing, and it works for me really well. So let me know in the comments down below, are you a marksman? Have you seen something very substantially that I'm doing wrong with this one? Yeah, I showed you my talents very quickly at the beginning of this video. You're most welcome to pause, take a look. It's not a guide, none of this is pretending to be a guide. I'm just taking you through the full run, clear of the hardest horrific vision that we have, which is Stormwind, obviously. And yeah, I always welcome your feedback and advice, because example, if not for your advice, I wouldn't have tried survival. I wouldn't have tried survival, and I wouldn't have loved survival as much as I do right now. It's not my main, not even close, but you know what I'm saying. So similarly to that, I always welcome your feedback. I appreciate your support so much, guys, your interest. Talk to me in the comments down below, talk to each other. It's a nice little growing club that organically grows at a speed that it should grow at. I'm really happy about this. More videos are coming to you every 2 days' time. As promised, always, this is exactly what the branding of the channel is about, and I'm enjoying doing it so far. So thanks very much for tuning in today. The rest of the video is going to be continued run. If you want to see end-to-end, if you take your marksmanship efforts seriously, and if you are still considering, even though I am basically recommending that you pick one of the other two specs. Maybe I should have started with that. You should have picked one of the other two specs if you don't have particular attachment to marksmanship. But if you're considering marksman, you can make it work. But why, if there are two better specs, in my opinion, to do this with? And these are the closing thoughts I'm going to leave you with. Gyro here, signing off. See you soon again on this channel in 2 days' time. See you later. Bye.
heart.